Today we're going to go over how to use images in our printables. This was a question or a suggestion that was brought to me in my last video, and I appreciate Jill asking about this because a lot of times I use graphics in my printables, and I think that's mostly what we've covered so far. So this is a really great topic because images are used often in printables, and I've used it many times in my printables as I'm going to show you, and I really do think it is a topic that should be discussed, especially if you're wanting to sell printables, because there are some things you should know. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to show you just a couple examples of how I have used images in some of my printables. This here is the cover for a planner that I made in my Etsy shop in the event of my death planner, and this is just an image that I took off of a site that I use, and I just put on here a rectangle shape, and I did some text here and a couple graphics or a couple other shapes here just to kind of just make this look really good. And I love this. I felt like this turned out beautifully. So this is one way to use something like if you were doing a cover, if you wanted to create an ebook or something like that. I also used graphics. My computer is being very slow for some reason today. So I used just a couple of pictures. I just kind of threw these in here. I loved how how it looked like for this. These are just two summer type pictures that I took, and I used a little bit of a shadow effect on here, and I just felt like it just kind of gave it a really cool look. I don't know, I just really liked it. But everything else is pretty simple and plain, just a little splash of color. And then something here, this entire background is an image that I stretched out because I only wanted a little bit of a border here. And this is a printable that I sell on one of my Etsy shops, and this is just, I wanted this to be the main focus, but I just wanted to add a little bit of color. This is something for kind of geared for kids, so I picked something that I felt would go along with that really well. And then this one here, this is just a small graphic that I got, and I shrunk it down and just use it more as, you could use this as a graphic, but I love images that have real life images in them, I guess. So graphics tend to stick with more art and drawn illustrations, stuff like this. And so I use images when I want something that has more of a real life feel to it. So that's what this here is an image, and this is the same image, just reverted a little bit. So this entire thing I made I made all of these on PowerPoint, and I just threw in some images. So let's talk images. So now you kind of know a little bit how to use them. I'm going to show you some things I think you should know before you dive into creating your printables, and then I'm going to show you a little bit on how to use them. So if you were to type in public domain images, which is what was mentioned, these are images that are generally, they're free, and they are ones that do not have a copyright. They don't have anything that you have, I mean, you don't have to pay for these. Right here, let me just read this. It says, a public domain image is defined as a photo, a clip art, or vector whose copyright has expired or never existed in the first place. So you can use these for personal use, commercial uses, anything like that. The only thing is that you really kind of have to do some research to know whether an image truly is free, if it truly is free to use, public domain. And I'm saying this because as a blogger, there are a lot of websites out there that say free stock photos, yada, yada, yada. And you can find some great images. However, it is very risky to use, mainly because anybody can upload a photo and say it's free. Then they can take it off and claim that it was never free and can sue you for using their photo because you don't have the commercial rights to it. I know that sounds awful, but it happens to bloggers all the time, especially new bloggers who don't know that they really shouldn't be using free photos. So it's one thing if you're using it for yourself, something that, you're just making up something to use for your home or whatever. Going to a free stock photo image or a website is not a bad idea at all. They've got some great stuff. But if you are going to put it on your website, you're going to put it, use it in a commercial purpose, like to sell it on a planner, then it is always a good idea to go with a company buy your image and have the commercial license for that particular picture. So that is just my tip for you. It just depends on what you're going to use it for, but that's what I would do. So if you were to pick something, you can go to a website. There's, Stock Unlimited. Let's see here. I've got a bunch here. Deposit Photos is a great one. Shutterstock is very, very popular. There's lots of images or places where you can buy your images, and you will, that those are safe to use, because it will tell you. It will tell you whether or not you can use it for commercial or editorial use. And those are things you really need to pay attention to, because especially if you're getting money for using that image, like if you're selling a planner or whatnot, you really need to make sure that you have the rights to use it for that particular purpose. So Stock Unlimited is a place that I have used for the past 2 years. It has great images. You can just type in something that you're looking for, and it has a bunch of stuff here. I'm just going to show you kind of what to expect when you're looking and what to look for. So if you were to go to, let's say we were looking at food, we want food images. So if you see this picture and you think, oh, I really like this one, I think this one will work, you just click on it. It'll take you to here. It will tell you what this can be used for. It tells you what format it comes in, what size it is. It tells you about its extended license. It allows you to do more with this picture. So you would click on an extended license, which would, it says here, it allows you to resell the downloaded content as part of a template or a physical merchandise such as mugs or t-shirts. If you have a subscription plan, this is not included. It's something you have to buy separately, and something like this would be $20. So you could buy this, and you could, it allows you to use this to put on mugs and t-shirts, things that you would sell for a merchandise situation. And then, but if you wanted to buy it just as a single use, see, it tells you, it pretty much gives you all the information you need. It gives you all the general things. I recommend you take time to read through these just to make sure you're covered for whatever you are using this picture for. And, you can buy it for $5. Something like this I would use for a blog post about shopping or whatever, just something to throw in. Thankfully, I would normally use a subscription, so it's much cheaper for me to pay a certain amount for a 1-year subscription or a monthly subscription. That way I have access to this as many times as I want. But for people that don't generally need images, this is just, it's okay, just pay for like a single payment or whatnot. So this is just to kind of show you a little bit of what to expect if you're looking for an image. Again, you can use free images, and there are free. Most of these websites that sell images actually will have a section for free. These are vector files, but some of them have photographs, they have video files, and you just have to read the information. Just make sure that this is something that you are getting and you can use without any problems. So that's just kind of my little bit of wisdom for you when it comes to images and things like that. If you have any questions about it, definitely ask me in the comments. I want to make sure that I explain myself properly so you're not any confused about anything. So I'm going to show you just real quick kind of how I have kind of used these 4 printables. So I'm just going to open up a new one. We're going to just start fresh like we normally would. So if you have your PowerPoint open, you're going to click on blank presentation, and then you are going to want to resize your image. So we're going to go to design, slide size, and then I'm just going to do some portrait mode. So that would put us at an 8.5 width and 11 height, and then ensure fit, and then I just clear this off. Okay. So depending on what I would be using this for would depend obviously on what kind of image I want and how I would use the image. So what I would do first, let's see here. If I were to insert an image, then you're going to go to insert, picture, and you got to find where your image got downloaded. So if you just download one off the internet, it will be in your download file. But if you already have it saved to a certain folder for images, then that's where you'd find it. So I have one here for stock photos, And I have the different kinds of stock photos that I have. So obviously I kind of keep this organized a little bit so to make sure that I know what some of these are done for and which ones I can use. All of the ones on Stock Unlimited, I know I can use for certain things. So this is kind of how I organize it that way, just to kind of keep track, because there's so many different places you can get images from. And so if you're just kind of looking and just kind of, I know it's not all of mine are uploading. I would just pick one for whatever project I'm going to be using. And this one is such a fun one. I love this stock image here. So I would just resize this to my page. And as you can see, it only captures within that certain parameter. So I like to crop my image just to make sure that I am seeing exactly what I want to see while I'm formatting all the rest of the elements. So this is my page. So this is what this would look like. And if you were going to maybe do an announcement page for, or even just like a fun summer get together with friends, then you're going to want, this would be a great background to use. And this is something fun that you could use for just about anything that has to do with kids, I think. So this is something, let's see, just say like, please join us. And this would just, you can be super creative with this. And there's so many colors you could choose from. And you can just, I'm not going to go through how to flesh out an invitation, but this is just to show you how to use images. Now, if you don't want this taking up so much of your real estate because you have a lot to fill in the middle, then you can always stretch it this way and just kind of pull down your image just to kind of add it right to the edge. See, now it only shows a little bit here. It gives you a little more room in the middle. Something like that. There's just so many different options, but that's one way. You can use it as a background. You can use it as a filler, for any other things like I did. If you, let's see here, let's go back here. This is a little bit of a filler here. This one I kind of use as fillers as well, and I use the entire photo. If you have like this watermelon here has a white background, which is really excellent for if you want to kind of let the image pop off instead of showing that it's a picture. This is great because it can blend in with your white background if you're not using a shadow effect. And I can show you what I mean by that in just a second. But see, this one is kind of what I'm showing you as well. This one was stretched out. I just kind of pulled it to where this was just a little bit of a border. There's just so many different options you can use. Let me show you this one. So if we were to take this off and insert another picture here that has a bit of a white background. Let me pull one. Let's say this one here. This one has a transparent background, which not all of them do. It's very actually hard to find one with a transparent background. But this is great because then you can use it just about anywhere you want without having to worry about the edges of the picture and putting it in the back. So this is a great one to use. So I didn't realize that was transparent, so let's find one that's not. So let's use this one. Okay, so this one's not transparent. So this one has a white, background. So what I would do something like this. I would shrink it down to just in the corner, and now it looks like I have a transparent background, just like this one is here. But I don't. It's all white. And if I wanted to add some text down here, it would get hidden behind that photo. And that's fine because you can just take the photo and you can arrange it. You can send it to back. So now everything above that, all the graphics pop up top, just as if this one had a transparent background. I hope that made sense. I'm just trying to show you there's just so many different things you can do with photos. And when you have a website like Stock Unlimited or any website like that, there's just, the sky's the limit when it comes to photos. And they'll usually have different things, templates and fonts and all kinds of things, but I use photos for my blog posts, so this is where I would go for all that. But there's just so many different options, and you can type in keywords and it'll align it to that particular keyword and show you images that are tailored to that. So there's just so many different options that you can use. When I was doing my, let me see here, when I was doing This particular, this particular calendar is part of a planner bundle that has all images that are real life images. None of them are illustrations or anything like that. And I really love the look of that planner. And so I had to go and find things that I felt really jumped out like that. That's where I got all of these, because I use these for my kitchen section of my planner. So I have a lot of food elements. And so I had to find a lot with the white background, and having a website like this one allowed me to have all these tons of options. So that's what I recommend to you. This is basically just an overview of how to use images. Again, you want to make sure that you have the rights to use your image for whatever you're using. If you are using an image, sometimes I want to say this real quick, that sometimes they allow you to use it without attribution, which means you don't have to tell them where it came from. Some places they do. Some places, when you download a photo, even if you've paid for it, sometimes they'll say you have to add on there where you got that image from. And if you were writing a blog post, you could say at the bottom of there, photo credit goes to whatever, wherever you got it. But if you're doing it for something like a printable, that might be a little difficult. So you might have to make sure you're paying attention to whether or not you have to put attribution, and make sure you have the rights to your particular image that you're using and for how long. Some places you can only have it for a certain amount of time. Some places you can have it once it's downloaded, it's yours. You can use it for whatever it is within that parameter. So there's just a lot of variables, but once you kind of understand it, once you've really read through all the questions and the different things that you are and are not allowed to do with particular images, it becomes something a little more understandable for you. So use images. I think they're great. I think they really make the difference for your printables. As you can see here, I just really think they do a great job just kind of putting you in the mindset of what you want them to feel with that particular printable. But you just have to make sure you're doing it properly, because I don't want anybody to use images and get in trouble for using the ones they weren't supposed to be using or whatever. Again, just because it says it's free, that doesn't necessarily mean it is. So you just really have to kind of do your research to make sure. And if you want to, rather be safe than sorry, just, download an image that you've paid for, so you have the rights to that particular image for what you're using it for. So I hope that cleared up some conversation or some questions you might have had about how to use images in printables. And if you have any more questions, or maybe you need me to re-explain something, please ask those questions in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to learn how to do something else, or you want to know more about other things, please let me know. I will be talking about fonts. I will be talking about some of those things in another video. So hopefully just to kind of give you the information you need to make the best decisions for your particular projects. Until then, I will see you in the next video.